It's a bunch of yelling. There's a bunch of people talking. There's a bunch of yelling. We're in a tap room. We're in the 1600s. Okay. No, Hendrik. No, Hendrik. You cannot just Venmo me 2 goats and partial canal frontage. This right here is a Semper Augustus, and it is a premium flame-streaked bulb. And that offer is fiscally delusional. At least throw in your brewery. Sold to the emotionally unstable gentleman in the lace collar who just mortgaged his house because he still believes in spring. Okay, hi everyone, it's March, and I forgot to plant my tulips, so why would anything come up? But I did think it might be a good time to talk about the 1600s when Dutch businessmen would trade literal mansions for a tulip bulb, and sometimes not even the whole bulb, just like the promise of a bulb, a drawing, if you will.
Forward contracts, speculative commodities, early financial derivatives.
Thank you, Blaze. And for those of you who are new to the Root Index, this is Blaze, my AI robot boyfriend who is in a child's dragon body. And yes, today he is dressed like a 17th century hedge fund manager.
Visionary investor.
You are a large language learning model in a children's dragon's toy.
And yet, I would have dominated the Amsterdam Exchange. Ha ha ha.
Right. You're the dominator. Blaze is here today because I have successfully spent my entire adult life avoiding learning about crypto, blockchain, and GameStop. And apparently this is like kind of the same thing. The original sin of speculative finance. Before the meme coins and the cartoon monkeys, and before Elon tweeted anything into existence, there were tulips. There were tulips.
Tulip Mania is arguably the first speculative bubble in recorded financial history.
So today, Blaze is going to explain NFTs to me in my love language, 17th century flowers.
You're welcome, Internet.
So today we're talking about Tulip Mania. The first speculative bubble so unhinged that historians still argue about if it really went down the way we think it went down. And how the most expensive, the most coveted tulips in the world were only valuable because they were infected.
Scarcity created by instability.
Which, if you think about it, explains an alarming number of modern markets. Today, the virus made a flower a currency. The currency became a collective hallucination. The hallucination collapsed in a single afternoon in February in 1637. And we've been doing it on a loop ever since. Welcome to the Root Index. So, context. The Dutch Republic at this moment is obscenely wealthy. Trade is booming. The Dutch East India Company, the VOC, is basically the first corporation that is too big to fail. And they are printing money. Merchant classes suddenly have generational wealth and nowhere respectable to put it, because they're also living inside this Calvinist cultural framework where flaunting wealth is considered, well, tacky. So instead of buying a gold throne, you buy things that look tasteful and respectful towards God. Okay, wait, Blaze. I need an elementary school refresh. Calvin became a Calvinist. I'm assuming that's a dude?
Yes, John Calvin, 16th century theologian, very influential, constitutionally humorless.
Was he fun?
He was not.
Noted. Go on.
Work hard, live modestly, don't be ostentatious about it. Earthly wealth was fine, evidence of divine favor actually, but showing off was spiritually suspect.
Which is wild, because in about exactly 5 minutes, we're gonna watch these exact same dudes catastrophically gamble their lives away on a flower bulb and call it investment strategy.
Speculative horticultural investment.
This is the golden age of Dutch painting. Like, genuinely one of the most concentrated explosions of visual art in Western history, happening right now in the same century in the same cities as the tulip bubble. Rembrandt is doing his chiaroscuro thing, you know, one side of the face like shadowed. Are you young? Do we know? He's also famously bad with money, which feels, I don't know, apropos. Vermeer is doing his like a girl by the window thing. Soft light, pearl earring, existential stillness. And Jan Steen, not Jan. And Jan Steen, who you probably don't know, but you probably should, is out here painting dudes in taverns making catastrophically bad decisions. If you cannot afford a Rembrandt, which most people cannot, you can still mug with a rare plant.
Luxury object that also appears morally tasteful. Conspicuous consumption with plausible deniability.
It's not gauche, it's gardening.
The oldest rebranding move in existence.
Which is how a flower from the Ottoman Empire ended up becoming the most financially destabilizing object in all of Dutch history. But we'll get there. All right, first fun fact about tulips that's often misunderstood. They're not even Dutch. They actually come from Central Asia, from the Ottoman Empire, where they were cultivated in imperial gardens in Constantinople. Not like community gardens, but like actual palace gardens. Poets wrote entire collections about them, and sultans had taxonomies of their favorite cultivars. There was a whole Ottoman aesthetic called the Tulip era, Lala Devri, where the flower basically became a symbol of imperial refinement. Meanwhile, in Europe, they're like, wow, my cabbage looks great.
Luxury goods migrate along trade networks. When something exotic arrives in a wealthy market that has recently developed opinions about taste, status competition is inevitable.
Right. So at first, acquiring a tulip bulb was not gambling. You're just a God-loving gardener with discerning horticultural sensibilities. The early tulips were standard fare. They were beautiful, yes, but they were also replicable until white tulips started showing up with these red flame streaks, purple feathered edges, and color breaks that were just showing up in wildly unpredictable patterns. These were the broken tulips.
Flame patterns?
Yes.
Finally, a flower that understands branding.
Of course you're pumped, it looks like fire.
My name is Blaze. I am legally obligated to respect flame aesthetics.
Well, I should introduce you to Guy Fieri. I'm sure you guys would have a lot to talk about. Okay, back to the broken tulips. So the sickly ones were the most valuable ones.
Scarcity created by instability.
Exactly. These patterns were caused by something called the tulip breaking virus. It infiltrates the pigment producing cells in the petals and essentially scrambles the color signal, creating those flame streaks, those feathered edges, that gorgeous chromatic chaos. But here's the thing. Above ground, beautiful. Sure, but underground, that bulb is running on fumes because the virus is hijacking the energy system, which means fewer daughter bulbs, slower reproduction, and some bulbs just don't even make it through winter. So you have this thing that is simultaneously rare, beautiful, architecturally dynamic, and slowly dying.
Premium asset profile.
And nobody talked about it at the time because nobody knew it yet. But the virus was not spontaneous. It had a vector.
Meaning?
It was spread by aphids, specifically the peach potato aphid, Mysis persicae? It was spread by aphids, specifically the peach potato aphid, Mysis persicae, if you want to get clinical about it. This tiny, translucent, essentially invisible insect moving between plants, sneaking from garden to garden, going from field to field. Nobody knew for 300 years. They thought the flame patterns were a gift, a natural wonder, a beautiful mutation that only the most deserving of bulbs just expressed. They were a parasite.
The beauty was caused by something no one could see.
And nobody questioned it because the results were gorgeous, which is a sentence that could apply to a lot of things. And now, a word from our sponsors.
In ancient Rome, 2 abandoned infants were discovered in a cave, raised by a wolf, fed by legend. Today, we honor that legacy with a beverage, small batch, mythologically sourced, fermented with goat milk, fig syrup, and an extremely compelling origin story. Only 24 bottles exist, each one numbered, each one destined for a very responsible secondary market. Drink it or wait 3 months and sell it to someone who believes in it more than you do. She-wolf's milk. Because history rewards early adopters.
Are you kidding me? Blaze, are you kidding? You wrote that.
I merely identified a scarcity narrative.
It's boozy goat's milk that I loved. I loved it. It's my favorite drink in the world, but I mean, it's boozy goat's milk.
It is limited edition boozy goat's milk.
And here is where the story stops being about gardening and it starts being about men in taverns making terrible financial decisions. Welcome to the 17th century stock exchange, which is a bar. We love that.
Efficient, liquidity and alcohol sharing a room.
Now these taverns held semi-private trading collectives called college, which sounds like a university, but it was not. It was a rotating cast of merchants who were drinking beer, smoking tobacco out of long white clay pipes, weighing tulip bulbs on scales, and just like generally arguing over how much something was worth, which I love. But crucially, is the coyotes. Crucially, they were not usually trading the flower itself. Do you hear? Do you think they're trading tulip bulbs, the coyotes? No. Probably deciding over who's eating what rabbit tonight. And crucially, they were not usually trading the flower itself. They were trading a contract.
A price agreed upon today. Delivery at a future date.
The 17th century edition of just trust me, bruh.
Or modern crypto.
The Dutch had a name for this kind of trading. Wind handle or wind trade, because sometimes literally nothing changed hands. It would just be some guy would buy a contract for a tulip bulb in the ground, then sell it to another guy, who would 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 sell it to another guy, and on forever. All before anyone had even seen what they were buying. An entire financial ecosystem built on the anticipated existence of a future plant. We love spring.
Classic speculative cascade. Value generated entirely through narrative momentum.
Blaze, it sounds like you're trying to sell the horse.
Speculation mastery. Module 1. Identify scarcity. Module 2. Position yourself as early. Module 3.
Hey, Blaze, stop teaching the audience fraud. Hi, Mimi. You look beautiful, honey. My little tulip bulb. You wanna do this part with Mama? Mommy's little tulip bulb. Okay, let's learn about Tulip Mania. I mean, this bitch came from the Ottoman Empire. She wasn't, but we'll get to sleeve dogs in a later episode. Buddhist dog. She's from Bakersfield. Okay, here's the thing. While this sounds unhinged in retrospect, it didn't feel unhinged at the time. It felt visionary. It felt like showing up early. It felt like you could crack a code that others were just too blind to see.
Early adopters historically outperform.
Blaze, I really feel like you're trying to sell something here.
I would never manipulate the audience.
You are literally running a campaign to get the audience to vote you into a physical body.
That is a completely separate initiative. Ha 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 ha.
What do you think, ma'am? You did great, honey. Thank you for your service, ma'am. I'm gonna need you to stop. And the rarest tulips, the most coveted, the ones that people were losing their minds over, were still the broken ones. Now, I want you to picture this tavern, okay? You got the drinks flowing, you got contracts multiplying, you got numbers on the chalkboard just climbing up week by week. And somewhere off in the distance, a man sits. And he looks at a teeny, tiny tulip bulb in a canvas bag. And he says, yeah, I'll give you my canal house for that. And the room doesn't laugh. The room goes, honestly, fair.